What is up, team? Welcome back to the Huddle, the number one podcast in flooring. We're here every week to help you guys gain forward progress in your career. Simply put, we're here to help you guys win. For all our new viewers, with our greatest sincerity, welcome to the team. Today with me is in support of our topic. Training isn't just a class, it's a culture. Mr. Scott Bohaker, in tow with our host, Mr. Daniel Gonzalez, the host with the most, live from Calhoun, out of Flash Cove and heat welding course that we've talked to you guys about in the past. So this is going to be a good topic. It's almost like we planned it to have some training people and a training going on during this topic. So Mr. Jose Gonzalez, as always, here on the podcast with this fresh cut dome and
about time. Whoop, whoop.
Scott, how's it going up there, or I should say down there from where I'm at in Calhoun?
Things are going good. We've got a good class going on. Daniel will be joining us shortly. He's in the middle of doing some pattern scribing and some flash coving at the moment, and he's more needed back in the training room at the moment than he is here in the
podcast
so.
Podcast studio, El Calhoun.
That's right. I'll do my best to fill in for him in the meantime.
Well, all you got to do is talk a lot, so you'll do just fine. Hey, Jose. So today is kind of one of those topics that you really feel passionate about, and wanted to give you a chance to kind of lay it out there. What do you mean by training isn't just a class, it's a culture?
Well, because it's like anything that you show interest in, right? Like once you pick up a hobby, you're all in. You start investing more time, more money, more of your resources into it, and that's where the culture forms. It's something. Look, first off, let me explain a little bit about myself. I am addicted to learning new things, right? And I just love to learn. I like to absorb information. I retain most of it, not all of it. I retain most of it. And I like putting forth effort into getting to know a product better, or learn how to do something a little bit better. But this is how I make a living, right? Flooring is what I do for a career. And to be able to find, let's say, your people, so to speak, in a place that you never thought you'd be able to find your people, and have others to call on and talk to, that's where that culture comes in. Learning is an addiction, and or a habit. Let me put it as a habit, addiction, however you want to put it. Learning is like that. The better you get at something, the more you want out of it. The more you want out of it, the more you look into it. The more you look into it, the more of yourself you put into it. The more of yourself you put into it, the more you get out of it.
All right, guys, that's some deep talk there from Mr.
I'm a terrible learner myself. I need repetition.
Jose.
That's how I learn.
Yeah, yes, but that's what it is, right? But you need something to spark that interest, right?
Let me ask you a question, Jose. So clearly not everybody is addicted, as you call it, to learning, or or would self-describe as loving to learn.
Yeah.
You still have to, in any professional trades, which we are without a doubt way behind in flooring. I mean, I have scoured other trades in my journey with Trade Tap, and all the trades are a bit slow most of them are slow to the party of preparing for, what we've been experiencing in our industry is like your brother says, not just a lack of people, but it's more of a lack of quality people. If every installer could install like my best guys, I don't know that I'd have as big of a shortage as I feel. right? So
Oh
I
yeah.
tend to agree with your brother in the fact that we have a shortage of quality installers. And one of those things um, and the reason that's apparent is at TradeTap, I mean, we have thousands of guys on the application or crews, I should say, and the average rating is under intermediate. Um, and like you still have proficient and expert and master, like they're under even experienced. So why do you think it is that so many people just kind of in our industry, where did this culture of like just winging it? I've heard that plenty of times in our industry. Like, where did that come from? And Scott, you've been around long enough. I'd love your 2 cents on this. Like,
Yeah, go
what
ahead,
is
Scott.
it? Why is it so hard to get? Uh, why has it been so complicated to get people to inherently desire to, take this craft, which I would argue a little long-winded here, but I would argue one of the hardest hand skills, actual craftsman jobs, next to maybe finish carpentry. Um, why is it that we take this, I don't know, handyman kind of hobbyist approach to our industry? Why has that happened, do you think?
Well, the thing I hear the most from installers, and I spent several years traveling across the country going in-house doing trainings on new products for manufacturers, and it's they've never had problems, they've never had callbacks, so why do they need trainings? We know that just because an installer doesn't have callbacks does not mean that he is a perfect installer. A lot of the times that just means that a homeowner's just not calling him back because they don't want him back into their house, right? So there's this mentality amongst installers that they already know it all and they don't have any problems, so why do they need to have more training? Where, and I will be honest with you, I fell into that category for a long time. I didn't have my first certification until probably 10 years ago, and I'm 54. So I skated by for 25 years almost with no training. Very fortunate that it didn't cost me a lot of money. But it's until they know, they don't know. Like, I became a certified installer, and all of a sudden, I realized all the things that I wasn't doing as an installer, such as seam sealing seams, things like that. I became a certified inspector. All of a sudden, I seen the consequences of all the things I wasn't doing as an installer and how all these products fail. Until you open up an installer's eyes to that, it's a hard fight. And
Well, it's
plus, we're very money driven too, right? Like, to
Yeah.
take time off work to go get a training, you're not making money that week because you're spending money at the training. So that's the hard thing that we have to do is show people the value in training. And you guys know it's not just about hand skills; it's about networking. And if you have problems, you got people you can reach out to once you start doing these trainings. It's there's so much to it that it's hard
It's
to break
definitely a
that ice.
balance of soft and hard skills, that's for sure. And
Yes.
I think that everybody here was guilty of not seeing the value in the training, right? I don't
Although
know how
I
to do
gotta
that.
say, I gotta interrupt for a second. I wasn't as fortunate as Scott. I did have failures, and I just blamed other things. And
It's a
as
bad
soon as
product.
he said, yeah, as soon as he said that most installers say they they don't have failures, and so why spend the money and take the time off? And I call BS 100%. They either don't know they've had a failure, and they certainly have, or or they are just straight out lying, or they're not considering that replacement because the glue was coming between the seams because they didn't let the pressure sensitive set up a whatever, the wrong trial size, whatever. They're like, well, that wasn't a failure, that was just a little mistake. Look, with $3.2 billion in failures, most installers have had some failures,
It-
right? 3.2 billion a year in an
a
industry that
year, dude.
a year in an industry that our labor value in that same year is around 20 to 22 billion. Well, you do the math on that, that's like
It's too high a
50,
percentage.
that's a high percentage, you know?
Yep.
That's like 20% or something. Don't judge me on my math skills.
And most manufacturers, they want a claim rate under like 2% on their manufacturing, right? So you think of how high the installation percentage would be on those
Oh, you could
claims.
finagle
So much
paperwork to
higher.
get that quota, right? That's always that's why it's the majority of the
Well,
time it's the installer,
one
not
of
the
the things that
manufacturer.
I think is when we moved into subcontracting as the vast majority of the business, when it was hourly, how do you pay an hourly employee? By their skill level, by their known ability to do the work, by their leadership. Like this is how you pay an employee. Is that like
You bank on that right there. You don't pay them because they have less failures. You pay them for what they can do and hope that there's no failures.
their level of knowledge, their
Yep.
ability, all the soft skills Scott was talking about? That's how you take a guy. That's why our highest paid guy in our on our crew, in-house crew, is certified up the wazoo and does great jobs, gets requested by our clients, and all that stuff. Well, that's how we deal with employees. And when we started subbing everything out, and that became the normal and not the exception anymore. Now it's exceptional if you are a flooring company that has W-2 installers. Like that's a rarity
Yeah.
if you take the whole nation. So when we did that, now you have no way to to judge, control. Uh, you have to only incentivize the subcontractor to find the value in training, which is, I think, a big push in the industry. Like we've got to get back to the credentials and the way that they're doing your work and their reputation. Like these things mattering more than is it a warm body? The problem is we have so many untrained installers that like warm bodies is what you get. And you get some good guys. Don't get me wrong. Like you don't, not every good guy is certified, but I think, I proved this to myself before I was super duper heavy into like go get training was when we were doing McDonald's all over the nation. And when I would get a CTI certified guy on the job, and it was kind of rare, but if I would do that, the job went better. Period. Like measurably better. So that's
And the
my
problem
my
is,
two cents.
me, Jose, you, Paul, we go to services, we go to Synergy, we go to the summit, we go to all the events that we can. Unfortunately, we see the same people
Yeah, it's like a
at
family
every
reunion.
convention.
Yeah, it
That's
is
right.
too.
And we don't see enough fresh faces at these events, and that's what we really need to keep promoting.
Well, I applaud the efforts out there to, my goal, if I have any influence in the industry, is to create demand for training, fill more classes, have more locations, like uh, less travel, more like that's what I pray for, and I like that, some of that's happening. Kudos CFI for relaunching the chapters a couple of years ago and having those chapters, and then people kind of get around them a little bit, and you become the sum of the five people you hang out with the most. You guys have heard that saying. Well, it's pretty doggone true. And if you're an installer hanging out with a bunch of non like hacks, well, you can sum it
Right.
up, guy. Like,
Oh yeah.
and if you're the guy that goes to convention and summit and trainings and certifications and that, you're also around the five, and you can sum that up. So I want to point out a comment. Doyle says the obvious thing is to do is to invest in yourself, but why is it not so obvious to the installers?
But,
I think
well, he
part
said
of
it
that
earlier.
is what,
He's
They're still getting the
uh,
work.
yeah,
yeah, the sales are still going to happen. The work is still going to be there. It doesn't matter. It kind of does matter, but you have the people the installers who don't know how to give the numbers out, don't know the value in what they're doing. Then you have the ones that do know the value, right? And that's a big gap. That's a lot of separation.
I don't know.
And
I disagree with that a little bit. And I sorry to interrupt you, but I disagree.
no, you're good.
They're charging the value that they are. Like these, if you are untrained
Correct.
and not, you don't do great work and you just kind of get by job to job, you are charging what you're worth, which is not
So
much. But what it
they
does
don't
is it
understand
lowers
the value they could
overall.
create. There you go. You said it way better. That's a better way. They don't understand the value that they could create, right? If they're missing out, if that's all they know, you're right. They are charging the value that they understand, but it's
They
just
don't understand their ceiling yet, though. Like they're charging like the floor rate, but they don't realize that there's a much higher ceiling that they can achieve.
yeah,
Amen to that.
and you don't. And I say we did not learn a lot of that until we started getting out there, and dollars and cents. Nobody, no instructor, no manufacturer, nobody likes to talk about dollars and cents because it's all regional, right? Even in your own state is different from the east to the west side of the state. You have, like over here, Michigan, we're, west side, we're not very heavily populated with the union, but the east side is, right? So the east side has some of their rates reflect union rates because that's the normal over there. Same thing in the region. And we don't discuss a lot of that in the classes or certifications or even in, I guess we would across the table from one another in group meetings, and we're talking how to become better and where you guys at and what should I do. And we learn where the rates are kind of at, but if you don't go to any of these classes, you don't take any of these courses, you don't put yourself out there, you'll never know that there is a ceiling that exceeds where you're at, right? Like there was a gentleman I met a few years ago that only does work on islands for extremely high dollars and only works 6 months a year, right? Like,
Could I get a part of that?
yeah, that's what I want a part of that, right? But the sacrifices that he's gone 6 months a year, probably not consecutive, but he put himself in a position to find that work by getting trained, getting certified, learning his craft, and then meeting the right people. Opportunity, right? He was prepared.
The obvious point that I'd like to point out about Doyle's previous comment is the word that he used when he's referring to training. A lot of guys will say, it's a waste. I don't want to waste my time or spend my time. And he used the word invest. And that's the proper way to think about it. Is
Yes.
When you go to a training or a certification or even just, say you're going to TICE or a convention of some sort, view that as an investment. No different than you would view that, a money investment into a stock. You're investing your time in those cases. It will pay you back at a higher rate than what you paid. I have yet to meet somebody who's really taken their trainings, their career seriously, or their craft seriously. Go get trained, maybe get certified, that did not get the value back out of that in money. And I'm not talking about, oh, he felt good about being better. No, you make more money if you go out and you get trained, you get certified, and you're able to command more money.
I will add to that too. If you go out to a certification or a training and you're going in there like, oh, I don't know why I'm here, right? Like, you're still going to come away with some information, some nuggets. But if you go into that like, I can't wait to learn something, you're going to come out with so much more. You're going to be so open-minded that you're not going to be afraid to ask the questions, which makes you more approachable because people want to help one another. And this is the culture part of it. No one in the flooring industry that I've ever met by going to training, certification, a conference, or any kind of seminar has ever said, I don't want to tell you because I don't want you to do well. I want to be doing better than you. Nobody has ever said that. Nobody has ever given that impression. It is, oh, you said you were having trouble with what? Well, this is what I experienced and what I did, right? And it's from business to installation skills, the information is there. And the people are more than willing to help out.
Yeah, it's the ones
Well,
that don't go to the conferences and the trainings. They're the ones that don't want to share necessarily. The ones that are coming to the trainings and the
Greedy,
conferences,
greedy.
that's right. They're the ones that really want to share, and that's because we've all been there.
hmm
We've had Shane Jenkins in house recently doing Sika Shonex trainings. That was a free training from Sika and Shonex. We had a fantastic turnout for that. We had a Mannington training. Anthony Faulkner was in the house doing heat welding training. We got Daniel. Daniel's got a really mixed group back there. Some are very experienced. Some have almost no experience. And listen, all the credit to the ones with no experience, because if you're coming to a heat welding flash cove training and you've never done it before, you're in
you're
for a
in
tough
for a new
week.
world.
That's right. But
But
it's one of the areas where we desperately need people, right?
yeah, that's where, there's a big shortfall in that particular skill set for sure. Especially what you led with him out doing right now, pattern scribing and
Hmm.
you know all of that stuff. It's almost a lost art that is becoming more and more necessary with this
Oh,
bio-based
yeah.
stuff. You can't just hack it in like a sheet vinyl. Linoleum's coming back in a way, and so is this PVC free stuff that'll tear like a piece of paper if you try to maneuver it too much, So you've got to learn how to pattern scribe. It's one of those. Uh, it's like building a toolbox. You don't use every tool all the time, but
It's nice to have.
you certainly want the tool in the box when you need it. So, you know, I've got to mention one other benefit to going to the different, not just trainings, which you'll get this at trainings as well, but also at like conventions and TICE and Neocon, all these things, is you'll start to learn about the NAFCT, about CFI, about CTEF, about NTCA. That's where, because one of the biggest things that when we did our survey years ago, but when we asked installers why they were not certified, the number one reason was they don't know where they would even go. Like they don't even know that you guys, the NAFCT, many multitudes of installers do not know you exist, do not know CFI, one of the oldest, training organizations exist. Like they don't know these things. So that's like one of the number ones. The second one was, why do I need to get training? I'm getting work and making money now. That's the real. I'm making money doing it the way I'm doing it. So why do I need to go do it right? But the one of the benefits you'll get is learning about adhesives and different tools and all this stuff. And speaking of adhesives, if you want a standout adhesive for your tough project, make sure to look up Diversify. Oh, Diversify. Diversify. Divergent. Jeez. Sorry, Sonny.
Sonny's very
I
happy right
had the
now.
old Diversify company on the brain. Look up Divergent. The old Divergent himself, Sonny Callahan, does a great job making these adhesives. He knows it in and out, so you can trust his his due diligence when these adhesives are made. If you have a demanding project, go check out Diversity
She's
Divergent. Divergent. Sorry, man. I almost
Virgin.
fumbled that. And check out the
Listen,
NAFCT, which I can't screw up because it's right in front of me on the
yeah,
screen. So hopefully
look,
Ashton cuts all this out, and anybody watching live, you guys give me a little bit
leave
of
it, leave it.
Diversified Sonny was allegedly in the house today, so
Hey, hey,
oh
he's
man.
a floor nerd, so that way you guys don't have to be. He does it all for you. But it's good to be a floor nerd with him.
Yeah,
he's one of the
well,
smartest men I know.
all my fumbling does not take away from the quality of the Divergent adhesive. I'll tell you that. So
He just
yeah,
wanted to
go
say it one
check
more
him
time to
out.
get it
And
right.
that's right. And kudos to the NAFCT who's here, obviously with us today, and they're doing a live training. So wanted to mention both of those great sponsors of the Huddle. That being said, after I fumbled my way through it, thank you everybody. One of the big things is you do learn about this stuff when you go to the. I mean, you have no idea how many different tools and things like that. I've bought tools that can be at like Tice in particular. They bring out new stuff. I mean, you get to be in the know by going to that stuff, and then you'll almost certainly get involved with training. So
And
Are you
we've
clicking
had
on
some
any of these
great tool
comments?
manufacturers for our
yeah,
trainings who have stepped up and they have donated so much to us to help with the trainings because it not only helps promote their products, but it just ensures that the guys have the right tools in their hands when they're doing projects and trainings.
yeah. Let me get
So
your guys' feedback on this. Brian Scott says
yeah.
training is better than a certification. Certifications never got me nowhere.
Ooh, do you want me to go first?
Hit it.
All right. So I will agree to disagree. Right? There's some truth in what in the first part where your training is better than no training. Right? And in some cases, some manufacturers have changed their policies and no longer certify. They only train, which is fine because it carries a label. However, if you can get training and certified in specific disciplines, the benefit is not the certification itself saying, oh, I'm certified. The benefit is the backing that you get from the manufacturer, the backing that you receive from the team. The certification is a guarantee that you will have great installers and great knowledge at your disposal all the time. I'm not saying the training isn't going to give you that. I'm just saying the certification is documentation from that entity stating that you passed this class well enough to be considered a certified installer, and we will help you. We will back you. A training is just a training. They're
Well,
not.
training's the education, and certifications are the test. And at the
Bam.
end of the day, the a certification, look, it got watered down, and the biggest problem with the certification, I think I'm just reading into Brian's comment here, but I think what he's talking about is like, the fact that he's better gets him more work because his reputation gets increased. He does better jobs, so he's not, going back and having to fix as much stuff and
Hmm.
doing rework and all this stuff. And certifications doesn't get him anywhere. Well, part of the reason is, I mean, frankly, the industry um, didn't have a standard. That's what the VTI is for, is to create some sort of a standardized way of looking at things. Number one. Number two is the people that hire you just don't know. I mean, if installers do not know who the NAFCT or CFI or NTCA or CTEF or any of these acronyms are, then certainly the homeowner and the general contractor and the people who hire us to do our skill, they don't have a clue. And with it, you got this mix between it getting watered down, easier. I mean, you can get a ceramic tile certification online. So that, okay,
Yeah.
so that's a problem. Like
Yeah.
that waters it down. Um, really, I agree with him that training impacts you more, but I do think certifications have their spot. If nothing else, if the organizations will make certifications as hard as they should be, then they'll start to like at least tell the installer where they're at, you know,
Yeah.
uh, and you use it as a gauge, just like a test at school. It's not, the difference is in certifications, you either pass or fail. You either are certified or you're not. In tests, you get a score, which is why I created the VTI. Like we created the VTI because of this stuff. The fact is you get a score at school, and in education you're going to get a score. So you scored a 68. Well, you know you have some work to do to get better for the next class. The certifying bodies, I believe, need to be strong, but then very transparent on the where that student did well and did not do well, so that they know what to go train more on.
I've had plenty
Yeah.
of projects in the past that have come across my desk because they were looking for somebody with a certain skill set and a certain certification, though. So yeah, like there is a value to the certifications at a certain level, and like Doyle mentioned, is there a different dollar value for being certified and not? And it really depends on who your projects are coming from, whether or not. But like say, especially commercial projects, they're looking for somebody with a certain skill set and a certain amount of certifications. That's what we're doing back there. CFI does it all the time. That people are looking for like a C2 minimum installer to install their job, and we've gotten a lot of those jobs over the past.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
yeah,
those are
there is
people
value
who
to
know.
certifications. Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah, the clients who are aware that that exists, they start wanting to make sure that their flooring is being installed by a certain level of installer because they are intertwined in the industry or know someone who's very tight knit and giving them the information that they need to get the best product on their floor.
Well, I think it'd be way more certain. Like, there's no downfall for an architect to specify a certified person. They're the other problem with certifications, and I've pointed this out before, is that there's so many of them, and so just saying, you know, XYZ certified doesn't always equate to the level of certification, the right
Right.
certification needed to do that. So an R1, you should not be installing a casino. That's what I've you get an R1 certification, you should not be, you know, doing an axe minister double glue down, but you're certified. And so you check that box on the spec, and there's been some downfall around, at least around here. I don't know about nationwide, but there's been downfall in our market where those types of things happened and kind of ruined that momentum. That, you know, there was some momentum for CFI in particular getting specified here, but very, 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 very rarely now. Um, and I just think it's understanding all of that, which again is just about simplifying and having a standard. You know, we talk about licensing a lot. Like, I need a licensed electrician or a industrial electrician license. Like, there's things that they can point to make sure that the person has the minimum level of qualification needed to do the job.
Right. And that's the thing. And back to Brian, like there's a lot of people out there who have gotten training but no certifications who are doing very well. And when they changed the spec out of a lot of when architects started changing that spec from certified, they changed the word to qualified. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people who don't have certifications who have a lot of training who are qualified. So
Well, that
there's
was
that's a
that
give
big
and take.
push we had to go. I think
Yeah,
you were on the call with me and some other people trying to identify what qualified
identify
meant.
it. Yeah,
That was several years ago, but anytime you come up with these terms, you got to know what it means, and then it can fall apart.
yeah.
You know, Doyle asks, thank you for all the comments, by the way, Doyle. Can you have one without the other? Certainly. Like Jose was just talking about, like, you can be highly trained and be every bit as good as a certified guy. Making sure you're highly trained is more important than going and trying to get a certification, in my view.
Correct.
Like that's what's going to make you the money, is teaching you how to be what you are, like how to be a good carpet installer or a good resilient guy. Like that's what makes you the money, not the actual certification in some regards. Now, back in the day when Forbo certified and Armstrong certified and Mohawk
Daikin
certified,
used
like all
to,
the
yep.
manufacturers certified, then it really had a little bit more meat to it, I think. Um, but as you guys know, most of those are gone. I think Protect All still certifies.
Nope.
Um, no, it's not called a certification anymore.
Factory trained.
Factory trained. Okay, fair enough. Well, that word carries a lot of baggage, the old certified word, in
Yeah.
both ways. Um, so yeah, I mean the 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 biggest benefit I can see is having happy customers that come back and ask you to do more work.
That's that's always been
That's
the
where the
best. You know,
training
they
comes in because yeah, that gives you the best.
let
That's
me
your
see here.
best shot at getting paid is having being well trained.
So that goes right to this other question that Doyle has. Additional training can lead to additional income through side hustles that are related to flooring. Is that correct? I mean, you know, everybody knows that the more you learn, the more you do, right? If you're learning something and you're passionate about it, like I said, the whole learning thing, training, right? Training and certification isn't anything without experience, right? You need to put the time in as well. And these side hustles that you get when you learn something new and you're excited and it comes across, someone says, "Hey, can you do this?" And you're like, "Hey, just, you know what? Yeah, I just learned how to do that." Or I just took a training class. You're going to want to go exercise that muscle to get better and to see what you can do on your own without, without the safety of the classroom, without the safety of the other installers. You're going to feel more comfortable getting out there and trying it and doing it. And that's where the side hustle comes. I mean, everybody starts with a side hustle at some point. They're doing it if they're working hourly for somebody.
Well, I don't know many installers that didn't have a side job over the weekend here and there. Although I do got to say that it's a little more advanced than the gig economy, like going and jumping into Uber and driving on your off time or something. Like you can't you shouldn't do side jobs, in my opinion, if you're not properly trained in that skill. But so I agree with his question slash comment, and really this was directed at you, Scott. So he would like to hear your opinion about it. But I do think that when I got really good, I found that I didn't have to do side jobs.
Well, that's how I cut my teeth, and I made my mistakes when I was a young installer was doing side jobs. But I told my son the other day that he was asking me when he could get certified, and it's you know what I was doing when I was your age? I was seaming up scraps in the garage, trying to get better at what I did. If I
Dude,
had a carpet that I
same.
struggled with, I was cutting carpet in the garage, putting seams together, trying to get better at it. The other thing that these trainings do, and I don't think it's focused enough on, it can really help teach you how to carry yourself as an installer and as a business person because you guys have all met them. Some of the best installers I know have no business talking to a homeowner, talking to a customer. They don't have that skill set at all. And that is definitely a learned skill as to how to present yourself when you walk up to the house. I grew up in a time where like guys were putting their cigarette out in somebody's driveway. They smelled like a brewery. They came in a beat up van, leaking oil all over the driveway. Like now I drive a brand new truck. I won't park in somebody's driveway, period. I'm parking out on the street because I have been there before and I do not
Yeah.
want to take that chance, right? So there's so many
I've never
things
even thought that's
you
why I
can
do that.
learn. Yeah. But there's so many things you can learn from going to these trainings from professionals that,
Hmm.
again, that will bring you more work too. Because that homeowner, if you're doing residential, is going to recommend you to the neighbor. Whereas if you show up and you haven't showered and People can tell.
So,
Yeah.
I want to add to what you just said, where you said that'd bring you more work. And just so everyone, like, my perspective wasn't about getting more work, right? It was about getting more of the work that I wanted versus more work. I wanted to, like Paul said, at some point he stopped doing side gigs, right? He didn't have to. That's the kind of work you want. You want the
Yes.
kind of work where you're steady, you're consistent, and you don't have to do the 7 days a week.
I mean, by all
And
means, if you want to go out and, I also say, I mean, it's one heck of a way to go out and make a couple grand over a weekend or on a Saturday. There's
yeah,
not many opportunities out there for that, but I did figure as I got better and um, got more of the work that I was good at. I did get certified. I started doing high quality jobs. I was making more money and I just didn't have to. I didn't, in fact, it started becoming like I was pouring myself into my job so heavy and my craft that I didn't want to do side work anymore. The extra money wasn't, I made enough and the extra money wasn't worth it at that time. So it was more of like just getting like it wasn't about money. I think it's when it became not about money that money came easier. When it became that I would just wanted to be really good and do really good
yeah.
job and kind of pour myself into the craft, well, that's when I started making more money and then I didn't have to do side jobs and I found out I really didn't want to. So
I think the goal is to get to a point where money is not as big of a concern, and the quality of life is a much higher quality, higher concern than making money. Spending time with the family, recharging. There gets to be a point in your life where there has to be more than making money, and I hope that everybody gets there at one point in time, at some point in time.
It's hard to get that mindset sometimes too when you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But um, you do got to shift the mindset a little bit at some point, and it does help.
well, the whole behavior, changing the behavior, I think what we're talking about in general is like industry culture. I mean, personal company culture is important, but really industry culture of training and having that level of respect. Like Doyle again says, there's so much that retailers and GCs can especially learn to have more respect for installers and become team players instead of boss and laborers. You know, I don't know. My my approach to this typically is like in the past, I had a lot of those combative things with like GCs as an installer. And then I learned that as I got better, I, if I, they didn't want to tick me off anymore.
Yeah,
It's such a change, almost such a night and day difference. Because if I left their job, they couldn't find anybody as good as me to come and replace me. So they couldn't just, it was more like, hey, instead of like, you guys are supposed to be done with that area and whatever, they're like, hey, what can we do to work together to get that area like more ready so that you can move into there? It was like totally different approach to me. Because if they came off like complete jerks, I'd say, look, I don't need this stuff today. I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow. If you don't know how to, I never really had to do this, but that's how I would have done it. Like, I'll see you tomorrow. Like, good luck getting the job done without me. Well, they know that that possibility exists in the world. And at the end of the day, they couldn't find anybody at my quality that quick to come in and take over or nothing. So you do get treated differently if you present yourself as a professional and you are a high quality installer, like you put down stuff and you care about it and you care about the long term viability of that floor, at the end of the whole scenario, like they want you there.
It's a
And
nice feeling to control the job site. to
Yeah.
get to that
Right.
point.
Well, and that goes back to getting the projects and the jobs that you want rather than the ones you have to take, right? Like you put yourself in a position to be considered a good enough installer or a well trained installer in that specific discipline to where they understood that there was value there versus you're just a body there to show up. And you're right. Same approach before as I'm going to shake you off the ladder if you don't get out of my room to, hey, how much longer do you got up there? This is my game plan for today. And if I can't get to it, I don't really have a reason to be here. But if you're only going to be up there for 15 minutes or something you can return for and let me get this done for you, then you can have it all day tomorrow. You know, it was that teamwork, that dance, that back and forth. And to say that everything still goes smooth like that, I'd be lying. But at the same time, that's what we strive for. We try to strive for peace now through the whole thing.
But the point is you're trying to work together, and they want you on the
Yeah.
job site, and they want you there, and because of that, they treat you. I get treated way better, and did as I became better, not because like um, well, first off, I carried myself differently, probably. But secondly, it was just like I said, they want you there. They really do want you there. They want good quality guys there, and the more you are that, the more you are workable. You understand projects, whether it's a residential or commercial, and you're able to like make those suggestions that you just said, like, hey man, and you're able to work with other trades and do all that. Man, you are such a value on a job site. But if you don't learn those skills and get around the people, and I wanted to point out one thing, and Daniel's joining us now, so I want to point out one thing. What Scott said earlier is that there's different levels of installers in the back that are learning from uh, the NAFCT right now, taking the heat welding flash code course. Those guys are they are way better off than they know, because they're going to learn that skill. But just like you said, now they're surrounded. I hope they're exchanging phone numbers, and that they can talk to the really good ones, can get, are willing to take a call from, James out back or whatever. Like that happens from trainings all the time, where guys exchange phone numbers, and the next thing you know, you're getting a phone call from one of the guys you trained with. It's like, hey man, you were at that NOR class with me, and I'm having, I thought I did pretty good in my box with the wax and cold weld, but I am struggling. Here's my scenario. And I had those phone calls. Like, we get those phone calls, and I know you guys do too. And that's the benefit. That's my whole point to this. We can't hear you. You're gonna have to get real close to Scott. Just go like right up to his ear.
Oh no, he's got the earpiece in.
Yeah, I don't know why both of them aren't working. You can hear me now?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. That's the crazy thing. You mentioned Nora. There's a guy here he's 65, I think he said. And he's here just for the training portion. He's like, I don't want the certification. He said, I just want to come here because I've already been doing this and I got taught by someone and I want to make sure that I'm doing it right. And he's like, I don't, he had a store and he was, bidding and everything. He was like, I just want to be an installer and I just want to make
I've
sure that
had
I'm
those
doing
days.
doing the best that I can. And he was like, and I know you guys because of like social media and stuff. He said, and Crystal was at the NOR certification with me when I did it. So that was what, like 2 years ago. So he was like, man, she's a great installer. And I said, I know, she's probably better than me.
So I don't know what's more impressive is that at 65, he's recognizing that he might have missed something, or that at 65, he knows how to use social media. I don't know what's more impressive.
Well, he's just one of those guys that's like, never stop learning. But I just wanted to
Yeah.
pop in here real quick and say
That's pretty
hi
cool.
and stuff like
Okay,
that.
give us
'cause
your
I gotta
give us your
go ahead.
2 minute synopsis of how the class is going, and
Oh, I mean,
how the
so
training's going up there.
we've got quite a bit of new people here that have never even touched anything, so it's a learning curve for them, and I have to kind of go into things a little bit more in depth. But the good thing is that everyone wants to learn. Even the guys that, like I said, that do have experience in it are still coming and saying, "Can you explain this to me? Why would you do it like that?" And I would, when it's something big, I'll let everyone know. But if it's something very specific to what they got going on, I'll just let them, talk to them one on one. But I mean, the amount of people here that are here specifically because one, they know there's a need in this specific training. They see that market, but two, it's like not only do I want to learn this, it's just like I just want to be better in general.
Well, I love that there's some guys, young guys, or I shouldn't say young, I don't know how old they are, but newer, less experienced guys taking the class. No matter what, that I mean, like go get it, guys. If you're
Right,
watching
and
this, like just because a lot of people don't do it because they're scared, even just go do it. You know what I'm saying? Jump in there. Go get
so
that certification and training.
Doyle is asking what manufacturer tools we're using in the class. We are using probably every manufacturer. It's not just one or the other, right? We've got Crane here, we've got Turbo Tools, we've got Gunlock, we've got Roberts. It's we've got any tool that anyone could use, we got here so they can try everything to see what they
Stubby.
like. We've got Stubby. So, but I'm going to get back out here because I know these guys are going to have a lot of questions. We were just working on pattern scribing Flash Cove, and one of the guys, right before I was done cutting everything in, he said, "I'm going to have to see that like 3 more times."
Well,
So,
sounds like you got your work cut out for you, my friend.
yeah, appreciate
It
you
sure
All
guys,
right.
and we'll see you
Thanks,
later.
Daniel. Thanks for
All right,
coming
Dave.
and popping in, brother.
I want to add to Doyle right here about what manufacturer tools. It's like training, right? I know there's multiple trainings for the same type of material or discipline, and one tool is not a one tool fits all. You're going to have to find the right one that resonates with you. And same thing with the Flash Cove tools and everything that he's using in there. It's the ergonomics of each tool are slightly different, but one might fit someone's hand better than the other, and you might be more comfortable. And
Tools are
that's
like
the same.
underwear.
Yeah, yeah.
You find your brand and
And you stick with it.
the type that you like the most, and you just kind of stick with it.
Yeah, yep, 100%.
But you got to try them on.
Duluth, yeah, there you go. But what I was getting at is these trainings, and the reason for the passion is you take different trainings of the same discipline, or you go to multiple different trainings because you're learning something new. You find your group, you find your people that help you find the passion, that make you want to learn more, or make you want to be part of the education process for everyone. And that's where this episode comes in today, is because you start getting more involved. You do, and if you are slightly passionate, you'll become more passionate. But if you take a chance and get involved, and you're not passionate to start out with, you'll find that you're more passionate than you think you are. You'll find
you can
something in it.
definitely find some at the course.
Yeah, 100%. And that's
Scott, you are not coming through for some reason all of a sudden.
Daniel probably clogged it with all of his earwax.
That's disgusting. Well, I got to share this one because I love sharing stuff when they say, "You are right,
You
Paul."
are right, Paul. Yeah.
The better you get, the more knowledge you know, the more respect you get from them, and even start leaving the ones that don't appreciate you and get the more professional GCs. What he's talking about is firing clients, and that's about as good as a situation as you can be in. You finish up a job and you're like, "I'm not doing work for that guy no more, and I'm going to let him know that's the last job I'm going to do for him." And that is about as, yeah.
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
You're a little light, so you'll have to speak up, but we can hear you. but there's not much better feeling than being good enough to fire a client.
Well, there's another thing too. Like this, not as necessarily firing a client, but when you're partnering up with people, and I'm going to go back to when I was younger. It's like this is the floor guy. This is Jose, the floor guy. It's not like that anymore. It's this is Jose, our flooring professional, right? Like the introduction is different when you've paid your dues, you've invested your time and efforts into being better at your craft, not only for your company, but for the others that you work for. And to be introduced like that, and I'm sure you guys are introduced like that as well, not only by another flooring company, but your peers and even the general contractors when you're meeting owners and trying to reassure them that the process in which their project is going to be installed is going to reflect the value of their investment in their flooring. That is hands down like a great way to introduce yourself. And it also does feel good to not go work for somebody anymore if your values don't align.
Yeah, you just don't have to work for take every job anymore,
Yeah.
because you just, like you said, more of the jobs you want. Well, we're coming up close to the end, so
Oh,
Scott,
oh,
I want to have you kind of give us you're a trainer. You do this stuff. Uh, what can you say outside of just like, hey, you're going to get the hands on and you're going to get this experience, but and meet these people. But what about from a trainer standpoint, when you got new students coming through on different courses, what kind of standard, um, I don't know how to say it, what standard attitude or standard like um, person is coming through the courses? Are they of all flavor? I know different experience levels, but from an approach to training, from a culture of training standpoint, is this many of their first go around? Like, tell us a little bit about almost the state of training.
A lot of the time, can you guys hear me all right now?
Yeah.
Am I loud enough? It depends on the age of the student. If you have an older student, they feel more comfortable about themselves. The younger students, they're a little more shy. They're afraid to get in there at first, so you really have to open up and make them feel comfortable to use their hands. Because most of these kids, when they use their hands, the rest of it comes easy. That's what they know. It's, I don't know. As a trainer, those are the ones you'll love, because those are the ones that are coming in, they're soaking it in. And it really helps us older guys to reinvest and spend some extra time with them. And because a lot of these guys, they want to hear about us as trainers, and we're trying to take the focus off of us, and we're trying to put the focus on them and what they can do, but they also need to see what they can become.
Hmm.
And that's huge. That's huge. But it's really the age difference. The older guys, a lot of them are a little more skeptical at first. They always are, because we're old, we know it all. The
Mm,
younger guys are more like a sponge. But at the end of the day, at the end of the week, we get them all in the same place.
that's pretty cool. Yeah. Are you seeing an influx at all of some younger generation getting in, like through the 90s, late 90s, and certainly through the early and mid 2000s, like the training that I would witness, I'd say late mid 2000s and on, the trainings that I would witness, it's like people were there with not looking, didn't really want to be there. Let me say that. You either had to get it because a spec said to install this product, you have to go do this training. And I've been to some of those uh, older guys in that scenario, almost begrudgingly taking it. What I'm hoping is that we start over the next few years seeing young guys coming in because they just know that's the right thing to do. Like this isn't rocket science, guys. the right thing to do is go get properly trained. That's the right thing to do. And I'm curious if that is showing its head a little bit.
The young guys that are in the industry, yes, they're wanting to get trained, but we still face the hurdle of getting the young folks actually in the building in the first place and with a knife in their hand and a pair of knee pads on, because let's be honest, what we do is hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
we're in a culture right now where a lot of people want to take the easier road, right? So,
You thank OnlyFans for that one.
what we do is never going to go away. I really feel like last week Nick Fi was here, the National Institute of Flooring Inspectors. There was an AI specialist here talking a whole day. And there's a lot of things that we do on the floor that it's going to be tough for that to get replaced. So
Yeah, at least in the next foreseeable future, you got a job if you're good in this industry. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not getting overtaken by AI, but I'll tell you what is getting overtaken by AI is the easy jobs. The like I've told this story. We completed 14 agents last week. We're just setting up some infrastructure now at our company, like the really uh low skill, easy repeatable jobs. Even at my company, we're automating that entire thing. And but I can't automate my install. So what does that give me the ability to do as an industry, as a company? And what we are so excited about at our flooring company, we get to focus on our operational excellence, the installers being excellent, our deliveries being on time, and like that stuff is where we get to focus on the front side, building the relationships, and on the back side, operational excellence through great installation. And I couldn't be happier with that type of a setup.
That's where AI is coming in handy and expediting, right? One person can do the job of five now, as long as they understand how to navigate and operate a system. But the hand skill, and you you just asked Scott about the installer, right? And you too, Paul. We can't replace what you have to do with these. You can't replace that. But AI is probably going to come through behind you now with one of these and say, "This is not up to standards," right? This is
You
not.
could see a world where I hope I'm out of that by then. I don't need an overlord watching my install. I used to really cringe when a customer would stand over my shoulder and
The
watch
helicopters,
me
yeah.
do work. Kind of the Facebook meme of a customer hovering you. So I hope that doesn't. Doyle wants to be a YouTuber, and that is what my 16-year-old said he wanted to be. And I crack up, and I'm like, even that's getting taken over by AI. But what's not is this stuff. So
at least
stay
Doyle still
true.
doesn't want to get into OnlyFans. We'll be happy with that. Stick to YouTube,
All right.
Doyle.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. If you feel so inclined, smash that like button, subscribe to our channels, give us some love, tell us, some comments of what you want us to talk about in the future, who you want us to bring on. That's been lacking a bit here recently. So if you're watching this, we love to hear from you. So either jump on the podcast and give us some topics. We love that stuff. So I want to thank Scott for taking time out of his
Yeah,
training
thank you, sir.
and to join us today. And
Anytime.
thanks to Daniel for bopping in for a minute. We love what you guys are doing up there. Keep up the fight of the good fight there, sir. And we certainly appreciate you guys and all that the NAFCT is doing for the industry. We need more people who care about this and are willing to stick their necks out there a bit and preach the good word that again, it's not rocket science. The right thing to do is to go to school. The right thing to do if you're going to be a doctor is go get educated, or an attorney, or any other electrician, like any of them. So
But I
treat
was telling
this.
one thing too.
Yes, sir.
NAFCT is now partners with TradeTap. So
Amen.
we're all getting on board and joining the bandwagon. So there we go.
Well, we appreciate that, and yes, NAFCT is getting a training hub. We're launching that, and
Fantastic.
yeah, and it's just it credentializes. At the end of the day, the VTI that I've mentioned a few times, if you don't know about it, is simply a credentialing and cataloging system that allows for the installer to have an awesome profile and show off what they can do in terms and scale that anybody can understand. An expert, a master, an artisan, like you understand these terms, and so the market has responded very favorably to the VTI, and we appreciate the NAFCT for joining us in this I hate using the word revolutionary, but it is changing the industry, and we really appreciate the entities that are joining us and NAFCT amongst them. So thank you so much, Scott, and we appreciate you guys over there. Jose, love you, man. Glad you're always
Likewise,
here
brother.
with me. You
Try
guys
to
take
be.
care. And again,
Middle school baseball's over, so
so he's back in studio. So if you guys like what you hear, make sure to, again, follow us, subscribe to our stuff. And that's what we do this for.
yeah.
We're on well over 200 episodes, and we do it for you guys. So
And if you don't like it,
please
share
join.
it with everybody and complain about everything that you don't like about it. Just share. Say, I don't like these people. Yeah.
Bad publicity is just as good. Yeah.
Yeah, good news, bad news is better than no news. All right, my friends, thank you so much
Thank you, everyone.
for the day, and thanks everybody for joining us and all the comments. Sorry we didn't get to all of them, but we were having great conversation over here. So thank you so much. We're out.